Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. You're watching YouTube and Facebook channels of Professor Dr. Rizwan Jamil Qureshi. Welcome to the lecture number 21 of Software Economics course. I finished my lecture on this slide of the definition of risk management. So risk management is composed of estimating all possible risks. Then you prepare a plan to fix them or manage them, and then you monitor them, you track them microscopically very closely, and if the risk is occurring, risk is going to damage the project, then you implement the plan. And we discussed the example of team. For example, if one or two team members are planning to leave the team and you already selected the team for new project, then you need to call them to discuss the cause or the reason why they want to leave the company. Like I discussed, that could be salary issue, promotion issue, boss issue, or timing issue. Because like if there is night timing, then the team member social life is disturbing. I remember the case of one of the executives of Microsoft. He used to come around 12 or 1 a.m. when his daughter already slept. So one day when he came from office, he found one slip from his daughter that, Papa, I want to see you. That means before she woke up, he already left for his office. I want to see you. That was the written on the slip. So then he waited next morning, waited for his daughter to wake up, and then he asked his daughter, yes, my darling, what you want? She asked a question, Papa, how much Microsoft is paying you salary of 1 hour? He was surprised because he was a senior member, senior position guy. Then he calculated and he said one figure, for example, $5,000 or $3,000, whatever the figure. Then his daughter replied, Papa, I will give you $10,000 or $12,000. Give me 4 hours of your life. I want to play with you. I want to spend time with you. And during the interview of that guy, there were tears. There were tears in his eyes. So this is the life of senior positions when you are working in top level companies like Microsoft, Google, IBM, HP. So the social life of the team members may be affecting, like I discussed, Pakistani companies who are working with American clients like IT24, one of the examples, one of the companies. Their working time started around 5-6 p.m. when there is day and there is a start of work in America. So they normally left their office around 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. And then, of course, you need sleep so you can be fresh and you can come to the work for the next day. So where is the social life? Where is the family life? So that could be the reason. Or you have a plan. For example, you fix their issue like increase their salary or promotion issue or boss issue, you change the team. Still you have a parallel plan that you start hiring cycle. Like I remember the case of Pakistani company Net Solutions. They have continuous switching because their salaries are very low, but there is a brand, there is a tag of the company, because after this tag they will get better salary in other companies. So because of the company tag, company experience, the fresh students, fresh graduates, they joined NetSol, and after having experiences of 2 years, 3 years, they left, they switched. To stop this problem or to handle this problem, NetSol has parallel training cycle, training institute. So they continuously training new candidates and the best candidates they select, they hire them. So one cycle is the switching cycle, another cycle they are running the hiring cycle in parallel. So that could be an example. Then I remember one case of Saudi Arabia, Jeddah. There are very few people who are expert of IBM operating system, and there is one company, and they have network administrator who was expert in IBM server. This guy went to his boss and asked him increase my salary to double because I am less paid, I am underpaid, and then he put his resignation. The network administrator or system administrator put his resignation on his table that increase my salary to double or otherwise this is my resignation. Then that boss asked him, keep this resignation in your pocket, let me talk to the senior management and I will talk to you, I will come back to you. We'll discuss this issue later. So after some time, the boss discussed with the top management, and then they increase his salary like 30% or 40%, but not double. So after a couple of months, that guy again went to his office of his boss and he said again the same style, this is my resignation and I asked you to increase my salary to double, but you did not increase, it's 30% only or 40%. Then his boss took his resignation and he said, thank you very much. We already hired a guy. Now you have 3 months notice. You have to train him and thank you very much. Crujan Haya, final exit for you. He was Indian guy and then he suffered. I remember, I know him personally through some Indian colleagues, that he suffered a lot after he returned to India because of his mistake. So his boss used risk management strategy that he said, okay, that initially he did not ask him, thank you very much, and took his resignation. He asked him, okay, wait. So meanwhile, 2 months, 3 months, they start hiring cycle and they hired a new guy. So that is the risk avoidance plan they implemented. The company implemented the risk avoidance plan. How many categories of risks we have? So what are main categories of project risk? Predictable, very good, and non-predictable. So there are two main categories of project risk. We have predictable or certain. We have non-predictable or uncertain. So how to define predictable or certain risk? Predictable or certain risk that we are sure they will happen. For example, budget and schedule are the certain risk in software projects. Most of the companies, they face this problem that we suffer lack of budget and lack of schedule. So these are examples of certain risk. And then we have non-predictable or uncertain. How to define non-predictable or uncertain? Certain that we are sure they will happen, like budget, schedule. Uncertain risk that we are not sure they will happen, that may or may not happen. For example, masalan, team member may or may not leave during the project. Team members may or may not leave, this uncertain. Fire, you are talking about uncertain situation like 9/11 or COVID-19. Nobody was expecting. Those risks that company or the team is or teams are not expecting. Any other example? The scope may or may not change, that is uncertain. Customer may or may not stop funding the project. Customer may interest lose in the project or may not lose. Bugs, errors. How many errors will come and how much time you need to fix them? You don't know. It's uncertain. Bugs are certain. Bug fixing is uncertain. You don't know how many bugs will come. But the quantity, number of bugs is uncertain. How much time you need to fix them, that is uncertain. So bug fixing, so we may consider that errors are uncertain risk. So uncertain are those risks that may or may not happen, like in terms of accident or people may leave, including the project manager or the system analyst. Scope may or may not change. Customer may or may not stop funding the project, freeze the project, may not interest lose in the project. These all are non-predictable risks. Business logic may or may not change. Now we move to next topic. What are main types of project risks? Anybody knows how many type of project risks we have? We have 4 types of risk. Main types: project, technical, business, social. Project risk. How to define project risk? All those risks that threaten the project plan are the project risk. For example, budget, schedule, resources, staff, changing requirements, project size, and unexpected events such as loss in the budget or resources. Anything that threaten the project plan. You have project plan. So project risk are those risks that affect the project plan, your project specs or proposal or baseline plan. So budget, you may not short of budget. You are over budgeted. Extra schedule can be a risk that can fail a project. Resources, infrastructural resources, including the human resources. Staff size, that if team size is large, then this is a risk for you. Why the large team size is a risk for you or less team size? But for example, large team size, why it's a risk for you? Schedule should reduce because of large team size. Why large team size is a risk for you? Why large team size can fail a project? Otherwise, we should feel like construction, manufacturing industry. The large team can result in more productivity and you can complete the order, you can complete the production schedule in time if you have extra human resources, extra manpower is there. But in software development, if you have large team size, that is a risk for you. When you have large team size, you need more time to communicate. Large team size, you need more time to communicate. Meeting. Ijtama. So productivity will decrease instead of increasing in software development. And if team size is less, it is also risk because then you are not able to complete the project on time or within the budget, within the schedule, because you have increased so much effort that the team cannot cope with that, cannot complete. So you are overburden them, overload them. So that is also risk because it will create stress, pressure, and this pressure is not healthy for software development because as we learn in the pull strategy that it's a creative work, it's a mental work. So you need healthy environment, comfortable environment, safe zone in which you can create software, you can develop software and without any stress, without any pressure. Because you have more pressure means more mistakes, more errors, more coding effort, more testing effort, more maintenance, coding cycle, testing cycle, maintenance cycle will run. So large team or small team, both are risk. You can utilize those team members, extra team members in another projects. Don't involve them, don't try to increase the team size because you need more time for meetings, more time to communicate. So all team members are on the same floor, same boat. So information sharing is a problem in case of large teams and you need more time for meetings. So that will decrease the productivity instead of increasing. So it will cause you to have extra budget and extra schedule. And that is a risk, or these are the risks that can fail the project. So changing requirements is also a risk, because you have to change your plan, change your architecture, change your design, change your code, change the testing. So more testing, increase maintenance. So that's also a risk. These all are project risk. Size. As the size of project is increasing, it is also a risk. Because why? What is the effect of increasing the size? Size is linked with something directly proportional with something. Size is directly linked with the complexity. As we increase the size, complexity will increase. And when there is high complexity, it is difficult to code, difficult to test, difficult to maintain, and that can fail the project. Like we discussed the example of Microsoft Vista, failed because of large size, 70 to 80 million lines of code. We discussed the example of Symbian operating system, large size, increase the complexity, more functionality, difficult to code, difficult to test, difficult to maintain. Netscape communicator browser failed because increase in size, increase in complexity, difficult to code, difficult to test, difficult to maintain, result in failed product. So these are all project risks. I move to technical risk. How to define technical risk? Technical risk threatens the quality of software, like potential design. If you select poor design, you select wrong design, will result in failed implementation. So design is linked with the implementation. Poor architectural design, poor design pattern, you select wrong design pattern, that's the risk for you. Then you need to change the design pattern. Like you have creational, you have structural, you have behavioral interfaces. Implementation, if you are failed to implement the design as per the customer requirements, that's the technical risk. Interface verification, you fail to verify interfaces from the client, and at the time of implementation, at the time of execution, or at the time of testing, customer will reject it. That's a technical risk. Maintenance problems, you are not able to maintain, like integration issues are there, you are not able to fix them. Architectural constraints are there, specification constraints are there, protocol constraints are there, tool constraints are there, operating system constraints, browser constraints, server constraints. So maintenance issues, you are not able to fix the bugs within the prescribed time, as we have to complete with the project within the budget, within the schedule. So maintenance problems are the technical risk. Specification ambiguity, unclear requirements can be a technical risk, because unclear requirement mean you have poor analysis, poor design, poor coding, poor testing, and customer will reject during the beta testing or alpha testing that these are not my requirements. So you have to be very clear about the requirements. So that is the reason analysis is backbone of the system development, analysis phase. So you have, that is the reason system analyst salary, they are highest paid positions, because these are the guys who are going to have clear requirements from the customer. So specification ambiguity, poor requirements can fail a project. It's a technical risk. Obsolete technology is also technical risk, like Visual Studio to Visual Studio.NET. When Microsoft introduced Visual Studio.NET, all the software companies, they have to face this problem, technical risk, because customer asked them to switch from Visual Studio to Visual Studio.NET. Or like I discussed the example of Java Versata, the business logic suite. As Java Versata was introduced, most of the customers in advanced countries like USA, UK, Germany, Australia, they asked the software companies, they required to change the business logic to Java Versata. This is a risk for you The technology may not become obsolete in terms of hardware, in terms of software. So these are all technical risks. Then I move to my next, business risk. So what is a business risk? How to define business risk? Business risk threaten the feasibility of software, such as target market is not willing. We don't develop software for one client. We always develop software for target market, for future customers. Like Netsol company in Pakistan, their target was not BMW only. Their target was all car manufacturing companies like Mercedes, Nissan, or the vehicle industry like Yamaha motorbike. We don't develop software for one client. We develop software for the target market. I remember case of Netsol. They developed software for Pakistani banks. They thought to target Pakistani market because most of the clients they have, Netsol customers are in USA, Australia, China, Taiwan, Germany, USA, UK, India. The Netsol company management thought to target the Pakistani market. They developed a software for ATM system to support it, to integrate with that. So all the banks rejected that software because whenever they went to any bank, the sales guy, a marketing guy, the bank said, "Did we ask to develop this software for us? Thank you very much. We don't need." Finally, Netsol company has to freeze that project, and they have to fire the team members. Only the exceptional team members, the asset of the company, they shifted them, they transferred them, switched them in another projects. So target market is not willing, then it's a business risk because you will not be able to find the next customer. Meet the customer requirements, that you are failed to meet the customer requirements from business point of view. Like you have a software which is a generic system like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics. These are the commercial ERP systems, commercial off-the-shelf systems available. So they are as per the customer requirements. So that is the reason SAP is the number one, then Oracle, then Microsoft Dynamics, number three. So you have to develop system which is according to the requirements of the customer. If you develop such software which is not meeting the customer requirements, no customer will purchase. It's a business risk and customer will reject it. Scope. If scope is continuously changing, like your competitor introduced the product before you want to launch, so your competitor takes the lead in the market, then you need to change the scope, and there is a risk that project may fail because you change the scope. Then it's very difficult to develop the software, the system within the budget, within the schedule, within the resources. I remember the case of one Pakistani company. Its name is TriSoft. The company has clients in America. Like the Netsol, they thought to target Pakistani market, but they thought to target government departments, Hukuma-based systems. So they went to one of the departments and they said, we want to develop a system for you. So then they said, okay, you develop a file management system to automate our files. Instead of manual files, we need automated files, electronic files. So then they collected the requirements from the customer and then they disappear. They thought it's Pakistani department, Pakistani Hukuma, government department. Their requirements will not change. Their scope will not change. And after 6 months, they went to the customer. They said, our system is ready. Then the top management of the government department, they said, thank you very much. We don't need this system because our requirements, our scope is already changed. So then they begged them, they requested them, give us extra time, free of cost, we will change the requirements, we will change the scope. But they know if this project failed, mean all the next customers, they will not get any new project, any other project in any other department. So this market will close for them. So they requested them, they begged them, and finally they got the approval. And then they took 3 months extra without any extra charge. They changed the requirements, they changed the scope. So if you don't go with the changing scope, you won't go with the changing requirements, the project will fail. It's a risk. Losing the support of the top management, like the case of American client, the realestate.com, USA, the property estate business, Indian company Infosys. The Infosys failed because they took almost 2 years to do analysis, design, planning, analysis, design. So meanwhile, the top management of the customer loses their interest, and they said, where is the software? We want to use it. So you are continuously doing documentation. So there was a mistake, blunder by the project manager or the system analyst of Infosys, that he thought it's an ERP system, so we should collect requirements in one shot. So it loses the support of top management, and then they fail. The project was failed. So stop funding. Like 9/11 situation, all the customers stop funding the projects. So it's a business risk. If stakeholders will stop funding the project, project will fail. You have to freeze it. So that's a business risk. You have to develop project before your competitor will introduce the product in the market. You need to be very smart, and you have to launch your software, your system in the market before your competitor will introduce, to take the market edge, to take the lead. Otherwise, you need to change the system, change the scope, to have some extra functionalities that your competitor doesn't have or your competitors don't have. Threaten the collaboration of the team. Threaten the collaboration of the team, like geographical distance and time zones. So most of the distributed teams, they face this problem, like half team in America, half team in Pakistan. So when they have day, we have night. So that's the problem in terms of communication and coordination of distributed teams because of the distances and time zones. Language issues. So sometimes the team members you need to hire from that country, and like American accent is different, Australian accent is different, UK accent is different, Germany, Russian. So language issues are there. It's a risk. Communication. You cannot communicate with your team members if you are not strongly communicating with other team members. Then you are not well informed about the changes in the requirements or in the scope or in the design. So poor communication can fail a project. Poor coordination can fail a project. Decision making in terms of distributed teams is very difficult because teams are distributed, half team in America, half team in Dubai, half team in India, or half team in Pakistan or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. So decisions are very critical in the distributed teams, and you have to bear the consequences of those decisions. So it's a social risk that in case of collaboration, poor collaboration, decision making can be a risk, because if they are not well informed, the communication is not in time, then like I remember the case of Nokia, the designing team was in Finland and the programming team, the programmers were in Beijing, China. So when the stakeholders are communicating with the designers, they change the design, they took the decision. But the programmers, they don't know that this decision is made and design is already changed. They develop the code as per the previous design. And when they communicate with the designer, then they came to know that design is already changed. And then they have to rework. So that's a problem, social risk. Cultural differences, customs, that's a risk. It's a social risk. because like American customs are different, cultures are different, Pakistani culture is different, Australian culture is different, Germany, France, Russia, Austria, Switzerland. If the team's members are or the company is operating with multiple sites, they have offices in different countries, then if they are from different cultures, then it's a social risk in terms of collaboration, in terms of coordination, in terms of communication. So these are the main types of risk. So threaten the collaboration of the team is a social risk. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum. See you inshallah in the next lecture. Have a good day. Love you.